Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. It is Monday, August 22nd, and I have officially finished my second week of my UX UI bootcamp through UT Austin. It's 10 p.m. right now and I'm exhausted, but I wanted to get this video out, kind of recap everything that I've done over the last week. So yeah, here we go. First off, I have to highlight the cow blanket hoodie. I think that's what it's called, a blanket hoodie. Even though it's still technically summer in Texas, it was an impulsive buy from Amazon, so of course I had to buy it. It has double pockets and everything, and it is one of the best purchases I've ever bought. So anyways, I had to put that out the way. But over the last week, from last Monday to last Thursday, we've been talking about, user insight and developing user point of views and writing like how might we statements when we're developing different like things that we like app related features that would probably be important based on the user interviews that we did the following week or the prior week. So yeah, a lot of this is just brainstorming and a lot of ideation associated with coming up with things to make our user or our customer more happy. So yeah, a lot of brainstorming, trying to understand like a problem statement, trying to understand where our business is coming from, a business outlook, taking a business outlook when it comes to the problem at hand and developing solutions to fix that problem. Once again, a lot of brainstorming, a lot of coming up with different ideas, a lot of teamwork associated with, like voting on different ideas that we have, creating a particular like 2x2 matrices, coming up with a 2x2 matrix, where we kind of plot all of our different ideas, whether it's like more attainable, whether it's plausible, how feasible it is, trying to dissect all these different things so that we can kind of trim down all of these big ideas that we have into more kind of digestible, doable ideas. So a lot of the conversations we've had last week focused on brainstorming, coming up with ideas, deducing those ideas to practical like things that we can do, and then coming up with like value propositions, and it focuses on the user side, their perspective, and then the company or the business's side. So on the user side, we look at the user's goals, who they are as a person, what they want out of a particular product or service, what their pain points are, what their frustrations are, and then we look at the business and we come up with different particular services or features that they can provide to the user to combat the pain points that they talked about previously, and like how we're going to actually achieve some of those services that we're going to provide. So we talked about that. It's called a value proposition, canvas, and a statement. Those are all really important, just detailing what are the things that we're going to do as a business to provide X service to help solve X problem. And then finally, we've talked about storytelling and creating a storyboard, kind of outlining the process that we kind of envision our particular users to go through when they actually like engage in our product, or like right before they engage in our product, kind of providing like a scenario or a context in which they would actually use our product. So we did a lot of storytelling and creating a particular user scenario based on our like proto persona and our user persona from the previous week. So now we're getting into like more like substantial users and customers. So it's really kind of nice to see that at the end of the day, or as we get to the end of this process, there's a real person that's going to be using our app. So it's really kind of cool, really interesting. So yes, storyboard, storytelling, user scenarios, coming up with journey maps. Once again, just like detailing the process, the different moods and the different kind of feelings that we think a particular user would go through while engaging in our product. and trying to come up with, like, trying to brainstorm different things that are different roadblocks that they might have, different challenges that they might have coming in contact with our app, or our service, our product, and slowly but surely brainstorming ways to help combat those challenges that they might face by using the service that we're providing. So, I think I probably mumbled a lot, but I think that's a good kind of quick and dry explanation of what happened over the last week. This week we just started talking about wireframing and user flows, task flows, and like the tip of the iceberg associated with prototyping. So this is like the really fun part where it's like designing and using Figma and using Figma and Miro, and I think we're going to be using Adobe XD as well, I believe so, but mainly Figma and FigJam and Miro. Using those three softwares to like come up with the framework, the kind of just the skeleton associated with our app. So it's really cool. I don't think I've ever explained what our project is, or even what this is even going to look like, what I'm doing in class. So I'm in class 3 days a week, 3 hours every single day. So it's 9 hours of class a week, where we talk about mainly like 3 main topics, and then we listen to a PowerPoint. We do like a little group activity with like 3 or 4 or 5 of us in a little group on Zoom. And then we jump out of that Zoom call and we go to the large Zoom meeting, and then we cycle through that process 3 times, learning about 3 different topics. And then we have homeworks, which are called challenges. And the class is split up into, I think, 20 different challenges, if I'm not mistaken. And then we have 3 projects, Connor. So right now we're working on challenge 2 out of 4 with my group. And this most recent challenge, like I said, is focused on coming up with user insight, coming up with value proposition statements, creating a value proposition canvas, understanding where that user is, like storytelling wise, what's the context of their user scenario, understanding what their journey map is, so their journey throughout the use of our app. So yeah, that's our homework or challenge number 2 is, and we're almost done with that. It's due at the end of this week. So on top of doing a group project, I also decided that I want to make my life just a little bit more complicated. So I decided to also, on top of the group project, do my own project. Following the same direction, same topic. It's still over like a travel planning app, like that's kind of the prompt that we have. But I also wanted to do it individually so that I can slowly build up my portfolio, because I know that at the end of the day that is the one thing that you can use to stand on to get jobs in the future after finishing this boot camp. So yeah, we're working on a group project, me and 2 other people, but then also on the weekends I work on my own project that's identical to the group one. I just have my own kind of like individual spin. I have different ideas that aren't quite heard in the group. And so I thought it was just honestly good practice to learn software, learn how to just use the tools that we're expected to use. Just good practice to have. So doing 2 separate projects. Maybe eventually I'll have enough guts to show my project. Probably not anytime soon. But yeah, that's kind of how the class is broken up. Or at least that's how I'm taking the class. I feel like I learn a lot better when I can kind of listen over to the Zoom recordings, and then read over my notes, and then like do the project while I'm also listening, like in real time. And it makes it a little bit easier when I don't have other people chiming in, and I can just kind of sit with my questions and sit with what I need to in the moment. So that's how I've been taking the class. So yeah, I think that's what happened over the last week. like I said, I'm really excited because we're going to start doing wireframing and coming up with user flows and detailing like the process, the particular tasks that a user will have to go through in order to actually like use our app. And then eventually we're going to start coming up with like the actual user interface associated with app development. So I'm excited. Not super excited about the coding part. I'm a little anxious if I'm being like truthful, but excuse me, the designing part seems really, really cool. The user interface part. So we focused a lot about user experience, so now we're week 3. We're getting into user interface. So yeah, I think that's a pretty good summary. Until next week, I will update you next time. Bye.